It's definitely, it's the biggest thing is just the mental game. You got to like believe that you can do it. You got to believe in yourself first that you can do these tricks.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a 17-year-old professional tricker and sponsored athlete of the Bay Area Hustle Team. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Levi Borrego.
What's good?
Hey. What is up, man?
Hey,
good to see you.
Going? Good to see you too.
I love that you're representing Bot there on the hoodie.
Yeah, we got the hoodie on. I planned out the outfit.
You'd be surprised how many people like come here and then they don't wear like the brand or the company they work for. Like, this is the time.
I know. I had to. I thought about it. I was like, oh, I got to bring this.
I think more than anything, people are gonna wonder, what are you doing here in California? Yeah,
so I'm just on vacation with my mom, just over break. So we have a break from school, and me and my mom just decided to come out to like California for a week and just check it out. We're visiting my uncle out here, so we're just checking it out. Yeah.
Okay. Do you frequent out to California to visit him, or is this one of the first times?
No, this is one of the first times. I've been to California before. I came here for King of the Bay like a few months ago, so I've definitely been to California a few times. But yeah.
I did see that. I saw the gainer switches on the Golden Gate Bridge, the golden switches.
Yeah,
so
that was fun.
That's awesome. What about Los Angeles specifically? Have you been here a few times before? Or
I've been to Los Angeles twice before. I came here once with my dad, once with my mom, but those were both a while ago. I was probably in like 5th grade when I came here last, so I'm really excited to check it out. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if unfortunately we didn't get hit with what's going on in the world right now, we would have had a jam gathering the last 2 years and would have brought you out. So
yeah, I would have definitely come out if there was a jam.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, no, that's awesome. I'm super stoked you can make this happen. And like I said, it's kind of funny. We're about to talk to Andrew Court, who's a member of the Colorado tricking community. So where are you based out of back in Colorado? Because I know there's multiple scenes in Colorado.
Yeah, so I'm in Fort Collins, which is actually, a lot of people think I'm like right near Cats. I actually live like an hour away from that like main gym you always see on that blue floor. So I work at that gym and also train at that gym. So I usually have to drive down an hour to get to that gym. But I'm in Fort Collins, so it's like an hour away from Boulder and an hour away from Denver.
Oh, wow. So, and then how far are you from the Springs then?
Springs like 3 hours, like 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
So yeah, I only really make it up there for like the trick difference.
Yeah. And have you always been born and raised in that city?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've always been in Fort Collins.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things, like you said, is that I was going to point it out once you said you were an hour away, is that you actually work at Cats.
Yeah.
And so you're super committed to getting there.
Yeah.
Do you drive yourself at this point?
Yes. Or? Yeah, I do.
Okay. I was going to say MVP award goes to mom if she's driving you there.
Yeah, no, she did drive me there when I first started working there, though. She was driving me down there like every day during one of like the camps I was working. So she definitely still was helping me out a ton with that.
That's super cool. Yeah. So I mean, before we talk about everything that's going on right now in your life, let's go like all the way back. Obviously someone that's 17 years old right now and is a huge figure in the tricking scene. When did you first get your start?
It was about 5 years ago, and I was 12 years old when I like first started. So, yeah.
And I read something that you actually like got into parkour back in the days too. Is that true?
What was first? I started with parkour. And are you familiar with like Apex?
Of course.
Yeah,
especially in Colorado, you have to know Apex, right?
So we used to have a gym in Fort Collins, right, like 5 minutes away from my house, called Apex Fort Collins, and that's where it all started. So I did parkour for about a year, and then I stopped doing parkour because I found tricking, and I thought it was like way cooler. So I joined tricking, and then just from then I trained there for like my first couple like 2-3 years of tricking, and then that gym kind of like shut down, or I switched gyms. I went down to Cats. So yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. So obviously Apex, for those that don't know where we're talking about, it's a chain of gyms that was started by Ryan Ford back in the day. There's locations throughout Colorado, even one here in San Diego, and they're primarily focused on parkour and free running very specifically. So how did you stumble upon tricking? Like, where did you see it first?
It was my coach. His name was Dom, and he did a scoot dub. He was like my parkour instructor, but he was always really into tricking, and I saw him do like a scoot double, and I just instantly, it was like, okay, like that's what I want to do instead of parkour. I thought it was like way cooler. So I like dropped all my parkour classes and started up like the acro classes, calling them like acro. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just started doing flips and I loved it.
That's wild. So obviously, like you just said, like you kind of alluded to it, that was your first time flipping. Did you have any acrobatic background growing up?
No, not really. My sister was a cheerleader. She still is a cheerleader. She's amazing. And we'd kind of just jump on the trampoline, and she would do like flips and stuff. And I think she taught me like my first backflip on the trampoline and even my first full. But other than that, like no previous experience.
Did you play any other team sports or anything growing up?
I did football growing up, which, I played for I think I did football for like 3 or 4 years, which I never really liked it. I just kind of did it. But it was, was about it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What position did you play? I'm super curious.
I don't even remember. I think I was like running back for like a year and a half, and then actually I was like quarterback for a year.
No way.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man. I mean, this is super surprising to me to hear that you had no flipping experience to see the level you're at within 5 years. But when you also look at Shosei, I think there's that video where he couldn't even backflip 5 years ago, and now he's doing 75 new moves we've never seen.
It's so crazy.
It's super crazy. Yeah. So obviously there weren't tricking classes over there. So how did you get engulfed into the tricking culture and start learning things? Was it YouTube? Was it self-taught?
At the Apex gym in Fort Collins, actually like was a tricking class, or we had this thing called like the acro class, or they called it like the orbit program, and they taught like 540 kick and tornado and B twist, and so he taught me, and then Sean Inglewood, and I'm sure Taylor Carpenter.
Yes.
So like Dom, Sean, and Taylor, they kind of taught me my first like few flips, and they kind of showed me what tricking was, even though it wasn't a part of the class, but I just like trained it with them during open gym.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's super cool. And so how many days a week were you initially training? Because obviously at least that gym's in Fort Collins,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, so I was definitely taking advantage of that. I was there almost every day. There was a period I was going like 5 or 6 days a week, because I do practice and then I do the open gym. So yeah, it was great. It was nice. It was so close.
To be young and not get sore, I would kill for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was great.
And so obviously at that point you mentioned that eventually started making the transition to training over at Cats Gymnastics, which is a staple in Instagram videos in the Colorado scene.
Yeah.
So what was it that brought you over there, and how were you able to convince your mom to drive an hour?
Well, I think, what was it? I had a friend actually. One of my best friends, his name's David. He'd drive me down there. So he'd pick me up and we'd both just go down. So that's how I first started to go, is he'd give me rides. And then while I was there was a girl there who wanted me to start working there and like teach gymnastics and teach their like ninja program. So I just kind of like committed. I was like, yeah, I could do that. And then my mom would take me down for work. And so it was just kind of a mix of like my friend David taking me down and then my mom taking me down. And so I did that. And yeah, that's kind of how I switched.
So how many days a week were you going to Cats? Because obviously it's significantly farther.
Yeah, I was going to Cats. When I first started, I was just going 1 day a week. I was going on Tuesdays because like Tuesday night is our huge big tricking sessions where everyone comes down. So I was going there on Tuesdays and then tricking at Apex Fort Collins like the rest of the days. And then I just kind of slowly going like more and more. I'm still not going as much as I'd want to, but yeah.
Totally.
It is an hour away.
I'm sure what a big relief in the house was when you're able to fully drive yourself down there. And
eliminate. Yeah, exactly.
Eliminate the chauffeuring by the parents.
Yeah,
for sure. It's always a tough one. I had a kid that at my first gym, he lived in a small city, where there was no one around, and he would get driven about 2 hours down and back a couple nights a week, and we were like, you better get good if you're making your mom drive you this far, And so it makes sense that you actually got to the level you're at, So
yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. So when you first started going down there to Cats, like what was the scene like? Like was it already a big community in Colorado? Because things have definitely evolved over the last few years with people moving.
Yeah, when I first started going down, the community was already big. And then like COVID happened and it was just kind of like plateaued and it stayed the same. But recently it's been exploding again, like even more than when I got there. Like we just got a few new trickers that moved down here, like Ryan Posse and Anthony Barada.
Wait, Ryan Posse moved there?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And then I think Jacoby's moving down soon. We have like a ton of new guys that just keep telling me that they're going to move down. So it's just crazy. It's just like the hot spot right now and it's just growing like more and more.
So who are the other staple trickers? Like who are the people you'll see there very consistently in the Boulder scene or out there at Cats?
Like Ethan trains down there. He's probably like the main. Ethan, Alex Kerwood, Andrew Court, Chris Cerna House. Man, there's so many. Like almost all the guys.
It's like a mini gathering every session.
Every session. It's crazy. It's
so
awesome.
What is that like though? Like I guess that can go two ways, right? One, it can be super inspiring because you're around all of these talented guys, and for some people it could be intimidating because I don't know, some people don't function well under pressure, having other people watch them fall and stuff. So
yeah, well, it's weird. There's something about Cats where it's like if you train there, you just start getting good. Like all my friends, like right when you start going there, instant level ups. Just like I have so many friends who like were complete beginners and they went there and now they're doing like J-step double corks and like crazy stuff. Like they're getting good. There's just something about training there that just makes you really good. But I think for me, it's definitely like it gets tiring training with a bunch of people. So it's kind of nice that I can work there because sometimes I'll just like stay after like with one of my friends or something and just kind of have like a more private session. I have another coworker and sometimes we'll just like stay after on like a Saturday night and train for a little bit, just kind of like alone. So I think it definitely takes like a mix of both, but it's a blast. I love training with everybody.
And so how long have you been working there? I know like if you go on the website, it still has you listed at 16 years old and you're like listed as the youngest employee they have. So how old were you when you started there?
I started working there when I was 16. So like a year ago in January.
Wow. Yeah. And what classes are you in charge of teaching?
When I first started, I was just in charge of teaching ninja classes.
Okay.
But now I'm still just doing ninja there, but I just picked up a new job in Fort Collins, which I'm teaching at a new gymnastics gym, and I'm teaching like level 2 girls.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
No way. Okay.
I don't really know how that happened. I just kind of got thrown into being a gymnastics coach at Cats, and there was a period of time I was teaching like advanced girls and I was just teaching advanced girls at Cats, and I kind of started getting like gymnastics experience and like coaching experience. And then I wanted a new gym to train at in Fort Collins, so I hit up this gym, Windsor Gymnastics Academy, and they're like, yeah, like we'll let you train here if you work here. They're like, what's your experience? I'm like, I work at Cats, and they're like, all right, you could teach level 2 girls. So I decided I kind of had learned some moves, and so now I'm teaching those girls. So it's fun though. I like it.
That is super cool, man. Do you have to like differentiate in your brain between like gymnastics technique and tricking technique, or?
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty easy because I do have some tumbling experience, so it's kind of easy to make that transition. But yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah. And you primarily, like you said, you're focusing on the girls' classes, and you're not teaching any adults at this point, mostly just youth?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I was curious on that because when I was a kid, like growing up in a martial arts school, like some of us, we had to eventually start teaching as part of your black belt. Yeah. And it was always like the most awkward thing being like a teenager trying to teach adults.
I've definitely done that. Like I've done like a seminar or like a couple seminars or done private lessons where I've taught people older than me.
100%.
It's fun though.
That's super cool, man. And so obviously like with everything that's happening in the Colorado scene and the growth of it going on right now, how did you get to the level you're at right now? Did it take being around all of those guys, or what was it that pushed you to personally get to the level you're at?
Back at like Apex Fort Collins, which is now Outrun Parkour, but I had like a really supportive community out there. My coaches were so supportive, and they really inspired me. But I started like really making the level ups when I started going to Cats. Okay. Like, so like a year and a half ago, like almost 2 years ago, when I first started going to Cats is when I like was like, okay, like I want to get good at this sport, you know? And so I really started taking it seriously, and I just wanted to be at the level that everyone else was at. So it was like Cats when I really started to like train a lot harder.
So when you went to Cats, what was the highest level trick? Were you just doing dubs at that point?
It was I think it was like dubs maybe. I think I had like just gotten a dub combo. Wow. I don't think no triple corks yet, but yeah, that kind of stuff.
That is crazy, man. Just within like almost 2 years, you've leveled up to triple cork combinations as well as quads I've seen on the page and stuff like that. Yeah. And what do you think is the secret to getting to those higher level tricks? Because I think that there's a point where a lot of trickers, when they get to a certain level, they kind of feel like the dubs is like a whole world difference between finally getting the triples, and then from there getting the quads is even crazier. Like, what do you attest that success to? Do you do any special cross training, or was it just getting easier over time? Yeah,
so it's definitely, it's the biggest thing is just the mental game. You got to like believe that you can do it. You got to believe in yourself first that you can do these tricks. And then also I just like kind of found that like working out and like training my vertical, I have a really fun time with like trying to jump higher and just seeing how high I could jump. So I did a lot of workouts to just get my jumps higher. And I think that just kind of like within it of itself just helped me like at tricks and just become more explosive in the trick. So I think like working out your legs, getting like a faster vertical and all that stuff really helps.
Yeah, I see that. There's some clips sometimes where you'll post like post-training sessions and it looks like it's an athletic club or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so how many days a week are you cross-training over there?
I go through phases. Like right now, 0, but a month ago it was like 3 times a week. So it really just I don't really have like a set schedule, but if I'm like feeling it that month or whatever, it'll be like 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay, and I don't want to ask this and jinx you by any means, but I'm just asking because I want to see if the cross training is beneficial. Have you sustained any major injuries or anything that held you back up to this point so far?
Just in my whole tricking career? Yeah, for sure. I've had oh my gosh, that's probably like the worst part. So many little injuries that it's nothing super major, but it's just little things that'll put you out for like a month and a half or 2 months. So I had like my heel, I had like a really bad bruised heel that put me out for like 3 months, and then my hip, I had like almost same spot where Sam had his injury, like almost like near that area. So that put me out for like, probably like 3 months, where it's just like I got to train a little bit, but it definitely set back my progression for a while.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So obviously like all the cross training helps with your explosiveness and gaining height on your tricks like that. What's your flexibility like? Are you flexible? Are you not flexible?
I'm not flexible.
Okay.
There was a while where I wanted to be, and then I think I read something where it was like it reduces explosiveness, being too flexible. And I don't even know if that's true, but I just read that and I was terrified of it because I wanted to jump really high, so I just kind of stopped all my
there's a fine
stretching
line, and I guess I know this just from having so many guests on the JAMCast over the years. Most of the high level triggers that are super explosive are not flexible at all.
Okay.
But then I've talked to guys like Scott McDonald, who is a former Cirque du Soleil artist, and he specializes in not only trampoline and tricking, but also he's extremely flexible. He can do the splits on all three sides. And so I asked him, like, did he ever see a downfall? And he said there is a point that if he overstretches, he feels like a looseness in his muscles where he definitely doesn't feel like he can explode as quickly. So I guess there's a fine line.
So that might be truth to that. Yeah.
I know. I guess the golden. I didn't get to ask Shosei how flexible he is.
Oh yeah, that would have been a good one.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
it's an interesting one because there's a lot of guys like Mike that can kick extremely high actively. I just don't know statically how flexible they are.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you were training in those early days, and even now, like, are you someone that studies footage of yourself, or how do you continue to improve upon yourself?
I definitely study myself a lot, so I watch my own kind of flips and just see what I think I could add or what I could do better. That's probably the biggest thing, but I definitely watch a lot of other people too, and just kind of study from them. So yeah.
That was a perfect segue. I was going to ask you, like, if there's anyone growing up that you kind of like modeled yourself after, or if there's anyone you grew up watching, and if that's changed over the years.
Yeah, it has. So I definitely grew up watching Guthrie, like in my early days, and that's definitely changed a lot. I watched a lot of Ethan and Shosei, Zen, Tiki, all those major guys right now, like the guys who I probably watch the most. So I just kind of cycle through, Ethan's samplers, Johan, Tiki, Zen, and Shosei. Okay. But like all those guys, even like I go back and watch Mike's old samplers, like they're all so inspiring,
Yeah, still some of his samplers now like hold up like this many years later.
For sure. Yeah.
It's pretty inspiring to see. So that's cool, man. And then obviously like over the course of your career, like as things started to progress, you've had the chance to enter battles and things like that. And I just want to know, because I always ask people this, like, are you someone that enjoys the battle scene?
I do really like battles, and if I'm feeling like the gathering and it feels good, I love battles. And sometimes, like, I know at Vertigo I definitely messed up my battles, and it was like I was so mad, but I think I needed it though, because it was very inspiring, and especially after Vertigo, I was really mad, and I kind of just used that to train, and so my tricks have gotten a lot better after Vertigo, and I think that's like kind of a big thing. But I do normally really like battling. I think it's a ton of fun. I normally like don't feel much pressure, and I can kill it, but sometimes it can kind of get to me, and the tricks get like rough during battles.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, I obviously was there at Vertigo, and I saw the frustration with what happened, which is a normal thing for anyone that has a competitive nature inside of them. Yeah. What do you think happened? Is it the moment that gets to you that's too hype, or is it just you just slip up slightly, just trying to go too quickly, or what do you attest it to?
I don't know, but I was really nervous, and I probably wasn't training as hard as I should for that gathering. I should have like trained more before it, so I could like have more tricks in my arsenal. Usually that's what I'll do before a gathering, especially if I know I'm battling. I'll like really work on like my battle tricks and kind of figure out like what tricks I want to do before that battle. And like, I know who I'm going against, and like I want to like, really know who I'm like getting to. So,
yeah, I was going to ask if you have preset combos, or if you're someone that just goes in there raw and responds based on what they do.
Yeah, it's kind of both. Sometimes I'll have preset, but mostly it's just kind of like I watch what they do, and then I very like much judge off of what they do. So if they do like a dub combo, I'll try to like one up it.
So I got to ask, based on, obviously you named the list of trickers that you watch just for inspiration and training. Yeah. Do you have a favorite battle tricker? Because I feel like that's a lot different than samplers, if that makes sense, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Probably Guthrie. I don't really watch a whole lot of battles though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Okay, are you mostly sampler kind of guy, or an Instagram guy?
Sampler. I scroll through Instagram more, but I love samplers.
Yeah. It's a lost art, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like, exactly.
It's kind of like a dying art for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you film footage with the intention of creating your own samplers, or how do you go about collecting your own clips?
It kind of depends. So if like the tricks feel good, I'll save it and I'll just post them on my Instagram. If like if I get a clip one night, like one clip, I'll just put it on my Instagram. But over time, if I'm getting like multiple clips, like over the course of like 3 weeks, if I'm like all of a sudden getting a ton of clips, I'll start saving them to put them into a sampler. But usually I just put them in like an Instagram. I just put them on Instagram.
Okay. And so this is always a tough question when I ask guys that are at the level you're at. So if you can't answer because it puts too much pressure on you, feel free to avoid it and we'll cut it out. But are there any tricks that you're chasing still specifically right now?
Yeah, for me, there's like a ton of big tricks that I really want right now. Because I feel like I'm at that verge where there's like a few big tricks I haven't hit yet, but I just need to. And I totally know I can do it, and they're coming up like soon. So quad cork for sure. I think I could definitely do quad. My triple corks have been feeling really nice. and then triple swing triple.
Yeah.
I've done trip swing dub. I landed trip swing dub like a year and a half ago.
And I've seen the dub swing trip also.
Yeah, and I've all the prereqs for it, so I want to do that. And then cork in. I've gotten so close to cork in. Like, I've landed it and put my hand down. So I just need to land that one.
And what is your setup for what are you going to use the setup for quad cork? And then what's the setup that you're the most powerful out of?
Touchdown race.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about for full in?
Full in is just like cartwheel or cart off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Obviously I don't want to put pressure on you and stuff like that, but what do you think you're going to have to do in order to get to the next level? Are you just doing timers like 3.5s? Like, what's the process you're going to go through?
Right now I feel like I could do all these tricks. It's just like a mental thing. Like, you know, they're kind of scary to throw, especially like cork in. I think I tried to cork in and messed one up like 2 months ago, and I kind of like hurt my foot a little bit.
Okay.
And so it's been like a very minor injury, but I've just kind of been waiting for that to heal a little bit before I go for my cork in again. But other than that, you know, the tricks are like, I think I could do them just waiting for like the right session. So, yeah.
Okay. It's cool. Like someone at your young age, you've mentioned the mental game so many times already in this like brief interview and stuff like that. So like, is there anything that you do to like get your mentality stronger or to train your brain? Like, do you do visualization? Like, how are you able to overcome like getting over the fear of these?
I definitely do like a lot of like visualizing the tricks for sure, like before I throw them. And then also just like, I don't know. I try not to think about the tricks too much. I just kind of just try to like send it, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so like how you mentioned that you have kind of like the fear of going after these tricks. Is it the fear of falling? Is it the fear of injury? Is it the fear of failing? Like, what do you think it is?
Injury, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is the risk factor that happens. We talk about when you get to these upper echelon of moves that like the risk factor is so inherently higher.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That is super, super crazy. So in your ideal world, would you land it at Cats at an open gym session with everyone, or would it be alone, isolated, where you can focus?
Cats with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait for the hype.
Yep.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's super cool.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's unique to obviously being in Colorado, which we're kind of spoiled with out here, like today it's almost the week before Christmas, and I was walking around in a t-shirt. Obviously you guys deal with cold weather.
Yeah.
So are you strictly a gym athlete? Do you ever train outside? And if so, when do you get the chance to?
I do like treading on the grass, even the concrete. I do like treading on concrete too.
Wow.
But I haven't much this year just because I've had a lot of access to cats. I've had a lot of access to the floor. But recently, I've been wishing, you know, the grass was a little bit nicer and it wasn't so cold out. You know, it's actually been pretty warm in Colorado. We haven't gotten like any snow yet.
Really?
But it's still like just like it's warm, but not quite warm enough to like go out and have a session, you know? So
100%.
Like
And so concrete tricking is something that not many people like to do by choice by any means. And so when you're doing that, are you training with shoes on? Are you training lower level tricks for technique, or like how do you go about that safely?
Usually I do like definitely lower level tricks, but I like to have my shoes off on concrete. I think it's easier. Well, one thing is because these shoes always slip off when I try to do anything on concrete, and then I think it actually like makes your muscles a lot stronger if you're tricking on concrete, because like it doesn't hurt if you do easy stuff and you land very softly, and then like the softer you land, you know, it's a lot harder to get injured if you land like really softly. And I think that directly correlates to like the floor. You know, you shouldn't be like landing your tricks like super stomped. Like it feels good, but you should try to land like very lightly and quietly.
Yeah, that is something that's super unique. I have seen that where some guys literally rely upon the floor and they just take for granted that they can just stomp out of things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that is a nightmare eventually on so many levels.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy, man. And so obviously like right now, are you still in school, or what's the focus like between balancing tricking and training and life and the age that you're at right now?
Yeah, so I'm still in school. I'm just in high school, so it's just that during the day, and then kind of get home, and then if I have work, I'll go work, and then if I don't, it's just go train.
Okay. And like back when I was tricking, like it was not as widespread as it is right now. Like is it accepted at your school? Do kids know that you trick? Like, is there anyone that also tricks that goes to the same school as you, or are you like?
No, I usually don't really talk about it at school. I just kind of like do school and then come home and wait to go trick.
I know that's one thing that it was always like wishing that I had was like a little community that at my school that I could like train with people, and hopefully over time it'll get more widespread where that's possible. But
no, it's just me.
Are there any kids that do parkour at your school and stuff?
Yeah, actually there are a few that train at, like we have a parkour gym in our town called Outrun Parkour, and I think there's like a few kids from my school who go over there and do parkour.
Okay.
So yeah.
Super, super cool, man. Awesome. And so like, obviously, like from all the tricks that you've accomplished and gone after thus far, is there one that you're the most singly proud about? Like, is there one that was the greatest accomplishment as far as you're concerned?
No. I'll probably like, I definitely have a big handful of tricks that like I hold equally that I'm like really happy about.
Which ones are those?
Probably like TDR punch quad.
Okay.
TDR full in. There's been like a few combos that I've really liked. Probably like the shuriken cutter, front swing, TDR triple cork. Wow. Stuff like that.
Okay. Super cool, man. And so obviously along the lines of achieving these tricks, one of the things it does is not only garners you attention throughout the community and everyone that watches you, but you're representing BOT right now. So how did you get the invitation to become a sponsored athlete of Bay Area?
One day I was just like driving and Keenan called me. He's like, yo, like, can you call real quick? So I just called him and then he just asked me to be on. I was like, I think a couple months or like a month after I got Ethan. So I was already like kind of hoping to be on it because Ethan was on it. And then he called me up and then I was like, yeah, of course. So that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, I was curious if it was something that you had like desired and like had wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, I didn't know it was something you could be a part of until Ethan got on it because I think that was like their first athlete and that's when they kind of started like getting like collecting athletes is when they got Ethan. So yeah.
Super cool, man. Super cool. And so at this point right now, like what does that involve? Do you get to just post stuff for them? Do you get like merch and get to have a code? Like what does it entail for kids out there wondering?
So I definitely, I'm getting paid a little bit from it and, you just get like sent clothes. You can wear the clothes and then advertise that code and get paid more. And then you just like post on their channel. They definitely sending you a lot of stuff and putting you on their Instagram and, also just getting paid a little bit, so it's nice.
Yo, shout out your code right now. People may be listening.
Oh yeah. Use code Levi for like 15% off.
You're welcome, Keenan. That was for you too. That's because I love Keenan also, man. Oh, that's super cool, man. Yeah. And so obviously this is a question that I want to ask, and hopefully it's the right answer because Mom's here. Yeah. What are your intentions after high school?
After high school, go to college for sure. I want to study like business, but I really want to get my like EMT, something that's kind of new. I want to get like my EMT right after high school and probably get like my real estate license, but I definitely still want to go to college. So just like go to college and train.
That's super cool, man. EMT is not something that a lot of people, I guess, like I haven't met a lot of kids where that's like their first passion to do, and it's something that's so crucial in the world that we need. What made you interested in that?
I'm thinking about being a firefighter. Like I've kind of wanted to be a firefighter recently, and I think that's like the first step into just becoming one. So yeah.
Okay. Have you seen Alan Davies? Do you know him?
Yeah, I have. Every time I tell a tricker, that's always who they bring up.
100%.
Like,
I think he like set some record like last year for like the most amount of calls he responded to.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah. I don't want to like misspeak on it, but you have to look it up. I think he broke a record for responding to the most amount of emergency calls last year. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was just thinking like Alan's just out there just running super fast to get to calls, busting snapper swipes and like helping people. So
that's cool.
That's super crazy, man. And so off the back end of that, if you do go off to college, is tricking something that you plan on continuing while you go to college, or do you think it's something that'll like start to taper off?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to be able to trick in college. Like that's definitely my priority. Just training, and then hopefully I'll be a lot better then, and just more opportunities will come while I'm in college.
100%.
Yep.
And so like obviously someone like myself, I'm like a generation above you as far as things are concerned. Do you ever get the chance to watch old school videos, or have you ever watched stuff from back in the origins of tricking?
I've seen some like Scott Skelton stuff for sure. Scott Skelton and Phil Gibbs.
Yes.
But I was listening to the podcast with you and Keenan on the way here, and you guys were talking about like Anise and all those guys, and I definitely like haven't seen much of those.
That's
so
crazy.
I kind of feel guilty about, but I'll
no,
probably watch them.
Yeah, nothing to feel bad about. It's definitely like there's a big generational gap between like the last time Anise and them put out a sampler. I mean, we're talking about they probably haven't put out samplers since 2008. Yeah. So like that's 13 years ago, and you're 17 right now. So understood you weren't watching them at 4 years old, right?
No. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy to think about all that's like transpired over the course of like that amount of time. Because at one point, Anise was Michael Guthrie. Like he honestly like was that big in the scene, and it's just cool. I just wanted to see like whether or not you had the chance to watch those guys.
Yeah, I think I may have seen like one of Anise's samplers, but that's about it. I haven't seen much else.
All good. Yeah, if you get a chance, go watch it. I think the one thing that has been different, and that's why I wanted to ask you just to get your perspective on it, is like, what is your current take on the scene right now? Because in my personal opinion, I'll kind of lay it out for you. When we first started tricking, I'm going to date myself here. I watched guys in the 90s that were very like sport karate based. And then when I started tricking around 2000s, it was still based on that, where the top guys were sport karate guys like Matt Emig, Steve Terada. These are guys who probably have no idea who they are. Or you know the names.
I actually do know.
Okay, so you know the names, but they were very kick heavy in their tricks as well as their transitions, and I felt like a lot of their combinations were geared toward being on the NASCA scene, where even the way that they would land combos was landed so that they could land it repeatably in forms. And then I feel like over time after that we went into like what was considered like the Tricker House days, and that's like the stuff where basically in the middle of America all of a sudden like things took off, and that's where you started getting guys just not caring about kicks at all. They were just obsessed with like hitting the dubs. There was tank tops that said spam dubs back in the day. And there was like a conflict of interest between the community. And now we're like basically in 2021 with your generation. What do you think about tricking right now if you were to explain it to somebody? Like, how would you explain it to a person off the street and what it involves?
I definitely still explain it like tumbling with like kicks in it. You know, so I definitely think kicking is like still a big part of it. And I do still chase kicks, and I still want kicks to be a part of it. So, but you know, everyone can trick like, you know, the way they want. But I don't know. I just explain it like it's like tumbling and like kind of like karate and breakdancing, but with flips.
And do you think as far as the kicks are concerned, are the kicks more difficult than the twists and the flips to you?
Yeah, they are. I love doing them. Like I find a lot of enjoyment in kicks, but they're more technical, which I think is why a lot of people avoid them. You know.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that unless you had like a martial arts background, it's probably one of the most difficult things. Then one thing that also lends itself to it is flexibility, which we talked about earlier. So it's kind of this like fine line of what you can accomplish. That's super cool. And so like if you were to have a choice, and if you could battle anyone in the world, and maybe you don't want to battle anyone in the world, is there anyone you would want to like put yourself up to against and test yourself against?
No, not really.
Okay.
No. Yeah, there's people I'd want to like trick with, of course, but there's no one where it's like I really want to battle this person.
So let's open that up then to be a more like politically correct question. Who would you rather train with if you had the chance to? Because obviously being in Colorado, you get to train around so many talented people. But is there anyone that you wish that you had the chance to session with more consistently?
I think like, you know, if you're not going to train in Colorado, and if like I'm already in Colorado, so it's probably just other than that, like just go train with Shoseins then.
Okay. Have you ever had the chance to train with them?
No, but hopefully I'll have the chance soon. I think I'm doing like a foreign exchange program in Japan, so hopefully I'll be able to see those guys while I'm out there.
Wow. Yeah. That would be wild. Yeah. They have something going on out there in Japan, which I can't explain. I don't know how they're able to land all these tricks.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be super. And so obviously with your training right now, and like we said, getting the upper echelon of moves, do you only train your tricks at those high levels on the spring floor, or do you still utilize trampoline for technique or to go to the next level, or do you use air track at all?
No, like I think back in my beginning days, I kind of used air track and trampoline a lot, but now it's just spring floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That's super interesting, man. It's crazy how things have evolved over time. The fact that kids even have air floors in their backyards now. I'm like, kids are so spoiled. It's insane. They have the chance to do anything, man. Well, that's super cool, man. And so obviously with everything that you have going on and the potential that you're going to go to college, this is a question that I ask everyone. And so kind of curious as to like what your take is going to be on it and stuff like that. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then like, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
5 years from now, man, hopefully, you know, like making a lot more off of tricking and just being a lot better at tricks. Like that's really like my main focus is just being like really good at tricks and just chasing new tricks and just getting better and better. So hopefully like just, you know, a way higher skill level, like a double skill level than I am now. And in 10 years, hopefully maybe like, you know, maybe 10 years from now, how old will I be? Like 27? Probably definitely still tricking and maybe like trying to inspire and starting to like create and like start to give back to the community, you know, by stuff like that.
100%. And on the back end of that, just because you will be relatively young at that point, obviously you named the tricks that you're still chasing right now. Do you think at that point there will be tricks on top of those that you'll want to chase?
Hopefully.
Is that too crazy to think about?
I mean, I think there's definitely, you know, there's tricks on top of like triple, quad, cork in. Like there's tricks on top of that I definitely still want to chase. I guess it was like my short term goals, like goals I want to land, you know, tricks I want to land within like the next few months. But after that, there's even more tricks I want to land. But like above that, you know, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know what tricks are even physically possible.
I was going to ask you that because in my generation, we used to joke and be like, hi, someone's going to do a 1620 kick something. And kids are doing 1620 kicks now.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what do you think is possible? Do you think you're going to see a Quint Cork in your lifetime?
Man, hopefully. Like, that'd be crazy. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I saw, like, Quint Cork. I don't even know what that would look like. Like, that's crazy. So hopefully.
We've seen the Quint full though. Like,
yeah.
Well,
have we?
Technically, Shosei's kind of done Quint full.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that'd be really cool to see a Quint Cork. But I'd also like to see like a Quint full, like completely like rotated, you know, like no doubt about it. Because I think, you know, we've seen Shosei's in D's, but I'd like to see like fully, you know, like 100%. I think that'd be really cool.
The challenge is set for everyone out there.
Yep.
I'm going to leave it on your generation because my generation has no chance. we are done. Our knees are done, man. So hopefully one of you guys will pull it off.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you making the time to come here, especially on like a vacation time more than anything. And like I said, I really liked getting the chance to get your perspective on things as like a young up and coming tricker because our audience spans so many different ages, and hopefully, you know, there's some kid back there listening and is inspired by you. So just real quick, do you have any advice for any kid that's out there that's a young adolescent teen that wants to get into the sport, or any tips to save them some time and injuries? Yeah,
for sure. Just keep it up, you know, don't quit. Train smart, you know, don't just like get yourself hurt, you know, don't just send tricks you're not ready for, but also make sure you're pushing yourself. Don't do tricks that are way too easy for you all the time. You know, always like just keep chasing tricks, but don't get hurt.
I think that's great advice, man.
Yep.
From someone that is broken, I totally agree with that. That's awesome, man. Well, yo, I really appreciate you coming through, and I appreciate your family bringing you up here to share your perspective on this. And more than anything, I'm very anxious to watch your journey continue and see what you're able to pull off.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Of course, man. So before we get out of here, do you mind looking in that camera, just letting people know where they can continue to follow you and stay up to date with your own personal journey? And if you want, shout out that code again. We'll put it on the screen.
Cool. Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's Levi Borrego 7, and then Bay Area Hustle Team on Instagram, and I post my samplers on the Bay Area Hustle Team YouTube channel. So
Heck yes. Yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for a brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Levi Borrego himself. So with that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I had a great time.
Hell yes. And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.